When I think of shadow work, I think of all the parts of us that we have been afraid to express, that we have been afraid to own, that we may not even be aware of, that is running our lives. It's all the loop of self inflicted pain that have just become second nature because we have gone through trauma, big T, little t, whatever kind of trauma it is. It is the parts of us that we hide away because we have shame around. And what I love is the idea that we have the option of allowing that to run our life or the option of bringing light to those parts of us in a very loving and caring way, compassionate curiosity, and saying, you know what? You matter too. I love you. And when we get to do that, shadow work becomes the highest form of self love there is.
You're listening to Sensitive, Spiritual, and Successful, the podcast where we uncover ways to connect you back to your soul self and get you unstuck so that you can live out your full potential. I'm Jasmine Lynn, a former psychotherapist turned human design soul guide and EFT tapping success coach, and I'm here to show you how to love yourself through all your levels of growth. I know you're here because you have an impact you want to make in this world and you have a light to share, and I'm here to guide you through that journey because you deserve soul-aligned success.
Hi, everyone. I have Maureen Webb here with me. She is part of the Ultimate Human Design Summit. I'm so happy to have her. And this interview is really just about getting to know her a little better. So I will throw it to you, Maureen, if you want to introduce yourself with your human design, anything about your human design that you want us to know about, and I'll get into some questions.
Sure. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me on. I am so jazzed about this. Like, you have no idea. If I was a puppy, my tail would be wagging, like, just nonstop. Like, that's how excited I am. So, my name is Maureen. I'm a 2-4 sacral generator. I have 3 channels. I have the channel of mutation, which is actually both of my sons, my conscious and unconscious sons. I have the channel of transformation, and I have the channel of abstraction.
Mhm. Tell me what the transformation one is. What are the numbers for that?
It is 3254. It links the root to the spleen.
Yes. Okay. And then the abstraction, which one is that again?
That's the head and ajna, 6447. It's the one that keeps me up at night because my brain doesn't shut off.
So you
It's
got
fine.
the defined head and ajna.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, I just interviewed somebody who had the defined head and ajna, and I was just saying I want to understand the experience of a defined head a little more because that I have that undefined. So I'm like, oh, I just love hearing it in real life. So we'll have to get into that in another episode of what it feels, of what it like your experience with it anyway.
That would be
Okay.
like,
Let's get into what's currently lighting you up or what are you currently working on?
whoops. Okay. Well, literally like 30 minutes ago, my introduction to human design report went live on my website. It has been months in the making, and this is my small report. It's only 47 pages. And then my large, full human design report will be out probably in the next 2 weeks, and that one's gonna be over 100 pages long.
Oh my god. Okay, what does now I'm just curious.
Go
For
ahead.
what does the 47 page one cover? What does the 100-page one cover? And I'm pretty sure everybody will want to know too. So
Sure.
yeah.
So, the introduction to human design covers your type, your profile, your strategy, your authority, your definition, your all 4 gates of your incarnation cross. I break them all down. your signature, your not self theme. I also give you worksheets for each one of the 4 gates with fill in the blank sentences so that you can actually personalize what each placement means. And then you also get a worksheet to personalize your incarnation cross summary. I also give information on the centers, whether or not they're defined or undefined. And I've got some goodies, some bonus material in there as well. So, yeah,
That is
that's
amazing. And what's the 100 page? What is that like?
so.
Panel?
Oh yeah. So
Okay.
the big Mamma Jamma one that's about
Yeah.
to come out that includes your everything in the $47 one, all
Mhm.
of that. I'm giving you a description of all 26 placements. So you will also get a worksheet for every planet, fill in the blank, just like you did. I give you your channels. Every channel is broken down in 2 pages and it gives you ways to optimize it, challenges, key points, it's a lot, and I also, because I love to do the most, this is my 4 line. This
Mhm.
is my 4 line over giving, but I come from my heart. I also have circuitry and sub-circuitry breakdowns at the end as well. So oh, but if you're like me, like, you want to know all of the things.
Mhm.
So I just basically created the report I wish I would have had when I started human design.
Oh, that's the inspiration for it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I love when you can create something because you see that there's a gap and then
Mhm.
you being the one to bring it to life is like, I'm sure that felt so fulfilling to be able to do all of that.
Yeah. The hardest part for me when I was introduced to human design was the clunkiness of the word. The very like, it has to be this way or no way. And I was like, oh, like I understand that there is absolutely a need to understand the original transmission, and I respect that, and I love original foundational work. However, the longer I am in my own experiment, the more I realize that if things are easier to understand and relatable, that more people will be interested in human design, right? Like, I know for me, when I found out that my strategy was wait to respond, I was like, "Absolutely the fuck not," and I shut the book for 2 years.
Oh, no.
Yeah, well, I also have an Aries Sun, Mars, and Mercury. I'm a lot of cardinal fire astrologically, so I was like, "Who do you think you are telling me to wait? Don't you know who I am?
Yeah, I'm a
Don't you know
go-getter.
who
Yeah.
I am?" No. So I shut the book for 2 years because of that, and I never want anybody to go through that again.
Mm.
Like, make it easy to understand. Give me a story, right? Give me a story, and then I'll be able to understand it, and then it just clicks. And how beautiful is that,
Yeah.
right?
And is that why you decided to go the route of being a shadow specialist? Because it's
Yeah.
more like practical. Okay, yeah. Can you tell us
Oh,
about
I
you're taking that lens. Yeah.
oh, yeah. So the reports have been a dream of mine for a couple of years, and I was in that imposter syndrome type of, "Who do I think I am?" Taking this modality and making it my own. Like, there was a lot of work I had to do inside myself, and while I was like, over a year ago, I was looking for something, and then I stumbled on human design shadow, and I was like, "What is it?" Like, I'm indirect determination. Like, yes, all of the creepy stuff, Nightmare Before Christmas, Halloween, every day. Fuck yeah, that's me, right? Like, yes. And there is just something so riveting about shadow work because it's that thing that people are afraid of initially. And then when you start talking about it, they're like, oh, wait a minute. How do you know about me? How do you know? And I'm just like, well, it's right here. And if you can talk to people about it and you can make them laugh, you can get people to really see that their shadows are there. And that makes their life better. That enriches and empowers them. And if I can do that for somebody, like, fuck yeah, I'm down.
I can definitely see the passion running through you because also I'm just going to throw it out here
Mhm.
for the Ultimate Human Design Summit. Maureen had this idea. You guys are going to love this. Hopefully it'll be out by then, right? Yeah. So when I release this, everyone should know. But Maureen decided to contribute to the premium summit experience package. And she's giving a $99 valued 30-minute shadow human design reading to everyone. When you purchase the whole bundle for $97. So not only do you get a reading, but you get all these courses from all the other amazing speakers. And she came to me with this and I'm like, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this?" And you're like, "If I can just do this for people and how fun it would be to be able to show them like the what is it? The top 3 conditioning factors in their human design and just change their life that way." Like I think we were on Instagram. We were just like writing back and forth.
Yeah.
But just like the passion I was reading and how lit up you were, I'm like, usually we don't do one-on-ones, but like if you're down and we can kind of set some parameters so that you don't burn out, I'm like, I think people are going to love this. Like, yeah, it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah. Even I know that it's a tall order. I know you thought I was crazy, and that's
I
totally
love
cool. Like, first not the first time, I am not offended. But man, like, just to give people, even if it's just a half hour, even if you never work with me again, if I can give you a tidbit, a nugget that will change your perspective or change the trajectory of your life or a decision that you wanna make, who am I to say no? I have the time and I have the skill to do that. And if you're ready to invest, like, hell yeah. Like, when I do readings for people, I always joke around and I say, like, I'm a pizza delivery man, right? I'm just here to deliver the messages that you're ready to hear. If you want to work with me, that's because there's a contract between us, our higher selves, whatever you want to call it, the universe, whatever. It's like, okay, listen, these two need to get together. There's something I need to say, there's something she needs to hear. Let's make this happen. And when you're open and ready and willing to receive and respond as a generator, that is how we are designed. I've taken my complete disdain for wait to respond and made it the reason that I am prosperous and abundant and so willing to give of myself. This is my strategy for life. And the more I anchor into that, the more joy and love and happiness and laughter in my life. Sweet.
It's so beautiful. And I think that speaks a lot to your two line as well, that when you're ready to give gift the world with your talent, your knowledge, what you're here to bring to the world, when you get that call out, like, "Hey, you wanna work together?" It's like, yeah, I have something that I know that I'm really, really skilled at, and I can help you. So, it's like to deny someone of that is like, why would I do that to somebody? And have you always had that confidence and have seen it that way? Because sometimes I struggle with that. I'm like, "Oh, I don't wanna put myself out there, be seen," right? We're both in the projection field in some degree. Yeah, have you had to work on that a little bit for that
Oh, every
confidence?
day. Every day I have to remind myself. I come from a life that was I was very out of alignment. I was a police officer in Chicago for 16 years. It was my job to have all of the answers and I needed to know everything. And to come into service this way now is it's lighter and transformative. Like it just happy. And there are times where, yeah, like that imposter syndrome stuff creeps in, and it never fails that when I'm in that lull, in that something happens to remind me of exactly who I am and why I'm here. And I live in Sedona. Mm. I mean, all I have to do is literally look out my window and I see Thunder Mountain. I get to hike. I get to be in my environment. I'm Valley's environment. Like, if this isn't Valley's, I don't know what is. Like, the nurturing and the love and support that I receive here just kind of erases and makes the imposter syndrome less painful, if that makes any sense.
Mhm. So you have that support. And you know what? I'm going to ask you one of my questions here that I have.
Okay.
What was your path like to get to where you are now? You know, like the ups and downs. You kind of talked about being a police officer in Chicago. I want to hear how you got to Sedona. Like what led there? So can you just take me down that journey or take everyone down that journey?
Oh my gosh. So, yeah, I will tell you that 8 years ago was the first time that I ever came into Sedona. I was invited by my therapist on a retreat, and I can still distinctly remember driving in and seeing Bell Rock and knowing immediately that I was home. And I knew that I was going to retire here. And in my mind, it was going to be 2026 because that would have been my 20 years on the job. I would have been able to have a pension. Like, I'm like, all right, 2026, it's going to happen. Yes. And then 2020 happened. And for me, I call it the year my life was a country song because on Memorial Day, my mother unexpectedly passed away. And then 5 months later, my dog died. And if anybody knew me, especially like when I was on the job, even my friends, anytime somebody would say anything to me, or I'm going to take this from you, or I'm going to take, and I said, listen, as long as I have my mom and my dog, I don't care about anything. Like I am complete. And then 2020 was like, oh, hold my kombucha here. We're going to boom, boom. I lose the two biggest parts of my life. Mhm. And I will be honest, it was not pretty. It was a very, very dark place that I was in. I wouldn't even cry for my mother. I just, I didn't even like, I didn't understand what I did to lose my mom. And, it was hard. And, I blocked a lot of emotion out for about 6 months. And during that time, my brother and I sold my mom's house. And that's when a whole bunch of restrictions happened at the police department. And they threatened to fire officers if they did not comply. And I said, you can't do that to me. I A lot of people gave in because of the fear of losing the money, because at that time we were making a lot of overtime. Like six figures was an easy thing to get. Mhm. And I was like, nope, nope, you don't get to be the boss of me. And I was slowly making plans to leave in 4 years, right? 2026, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna s I wound up, getting my life coaching certificate. Like, I was planting seed because I knew in 2026 I was out. Then in 2021, on the Scorpio full moon, I wound up getting into a car accident and totaling my car, and I wound up having to have knee surgery. And in the police department, you get 365 days of paid medical leave. I had never once in my, 15 years had ever taken a medical day. So I had a year of paid medical. During that time, I had my come to Jesus moment where I realized that I couldn't go back. And I opened up my human design book for the first time in 2 years. And it was like it had been written in a different language and I understood it. Like it was it's the wildest thing ever. And I knew in that moment that I was going to Sedona. I was healing from my knee surgery and I knew there was just an overpowering, overwhelming understanding that I was about to leave Chicago for the rest of my life. And within 4 months, I had sold my house, retired from the police department, and found a place to live in Sedona. I retired on August 15th, and I was in Sedona with my dogs on August 19th, and the rest is history.
Oh my gosh. And then so you've just started like in the more in the human design world, like offering your business online while living. Do you do online just
I
online?
do.
Okay, so you're
Oh, I
not
do
in
in person too.
you
Yes.
do, okay, in Sedona. I'm like, I feel like people would really benefit from that. Like, would go to that in Sedona.
You know what's really funny? I thought there would be more human design readers here, and I think there's like 3 of us. There may be more, but they're just like underground and they don't say anything.
Mm.
But yeah, I got here in 2022, and that was the first time I started charging for my services. Because as the typical two line, I thought that everybody knew how to read their human design. What are you talking about? I know how to do it. Don't you know how to do it?
Mhm.
Until somebody had to tell me that I can charge for this. And I was, really? Really? Like,
Yeah,
it, yeah. So now I charge.
and as you should.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that is a beautiful story,
Thank you.
you know, through the ups and downs, obviously, that life has thrown you, but you were
Mhm.
able to move forward and just kinda see where do you have a defined G center?
No.
No, undefined. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, just the path that it took, it's like how broken you must have felt losing the 2 things that meant the most to you. Like, when you said that, I'm like, "Okay,
I know.
yeah,
I was like, don't
sure,
cry. Don't
yeah."
cry. Don't cry.
Like, again, I don't know if it's gonna be on people are gonna see the video, but my face, I was just like, "Oh my god, is this okay? Like, is she okay to talk about it? Because just wanna make sure you had that safety, but,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, 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 just making sure, but, um, yeah, like, just knowing that that meant so your pup and your mom meant so much to you, but that it was a catalyst of like, all right, I gotta move forward. And now when you talk about human design, like at the beginning of this interview, even just talking about it, how lit up you are by it, and you talk about hitting that dark space that you were in to now you just, it's again, if anyone sees this, like Maureen is just like glowing and light and just like, I don't know, just good energy, right? And
Thank you.
yeah, so the transformation must have been hard, challenging, but I'm so glad to have you here sharing your gifts, is the long way of saying that.
And I received that. It has definitely been a journey for me to accept that I am good at this. I'm not just good, I'm actually exceptional at what I do. And to be able to say it out loud and then to be able to bring it to people with the joy that I have, like, I feel like if oh my God, if I had glow sticks, like, I would, like, dance with glow sticks and tell you all about your human design. Like, it lights something up in me that nothing else has ever done, and I'm just like, "Oh, well, this is it. I'm down. Let's see where this takes us, right? Let's embrace that the amount of 3 lines I have." Like, I'm a 2/4, but when you look at my energetics, I have no 1 lines and a majority of 3 lines. And my son is in gate 3, right? I feel like it's the, fuck around and find out gate. So that's what I do. Like, I used to take failure personally, but I come to realize that you're only failing when you refuse to see the value in the experience. And when I changed that perception, it was just like this light bulb was like, "Bing."
Mm.
You really never fail, Maureen. How beautiful is that? The universe has provided for you and you never fail and you get to help other people learn through your experiences. Like, hell yeah. I don't have to wear a bulletproof vest anymore. I don't have to do any of that stuff. I barely wear like sleeves. Like, so nice. Like, it's a beautiful life, and I am so grateful for it, and that's why I'm so passionate. Like, I can't beat this. This is amazing.
Yeah. When you're in it and you're living it, the dream that where it was once just a dream in your mind. And when you're in it, I talk about being in like a vortex. That's kind of how I feel right now. Like in the vortex of like, holy shit, this is my life. It's just like when you're in it, you're like, wow, this is amazing. And I haven't connected with a lot of generators other than, the speakers
Yeah.
and people part of the summit, right? I haven't connected with a lot of generators where we can genuinely talk about, holy, this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm excited about. I don't have a lot of that around me in person. So when I connect with you or any of the other speakers, I love that we're all on this journey together. And that's why I think with the summit, I just want everyone to learn, and I'm sure you do too with human design, is like it's possible. It's possible to get here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, and for me, and I don't know if you do this, but I like to experiment, and I use human design, and then, like, I sprinkle in some gene key action, right? Because to me, the human design and gene keys are like the perfect mates.
Mhm.
You know, human design is very masculine. Gene keys are very soft and feminine. And when you can combine them, like, how cool is that? Yeah, I feel like I've used the word cool like 18 million times in this conversation, but it's just like, oh my God, we get to do the things that like our inner child wants to do, right?
Mhm.
Like, little Maureen is so excited that she gets to talk about the things she loves the most. And then I get to get people excited. And it just, in my brain, I can just see it. Like when you touch one person, then what one person, it just kind of like goes all the way out into the world. And before you know it, that one conversation that you had could be changing lives all around the world. Like, that's what we're here for.
Mhm.
Gosh, let's celebrate it. Let's celebrate what we're all working on and support each other. And like, yeah, I love it. I
I
love it.
I love it too. I'm like, it feels so nice to have people around me who are doing this. Okay, another
Yes.
question for you. What have you learned about yourself in your process of living your design?
I have learned to have more patience with myself. Before human design, I lived very much in the I want things now and I want them my way. And I'm going to push through even if you tell me no. Right? "Oh, how many red flags do you have? Delicious. I'll take all of those and I'll just keep going." Right?
Yeah.
As I am going through my own experiment, I have a receptive mind, right? I'm not designed to just know it's this grace of a receptive mind. It is me being okay with having to listen to something more than once, right? It's that not telling myself that I'm stupid because I can't comprehend something the first time. I would have never done that. I would have wallowed in so much low self esteem if I couldn't pick something up right away. And now, this whole way to respond, I have a whole new perspective on it. This whole receptive brain, just kind of be okay with it. It'll come to you thing that requires patience. Man, I used to joke around and tell people I'm not a doctor. I don't need patience. And now I'm just like, oh my God, that's going to come and bite me in the ass one day because now I'm just like, we'll see what happens. Let's just see. It's such a different, beautiful life when you allow yourself that grace.
I was gonna say it's maybe a
Mhm,
generator thing, that force, right? Like the
mhm,
manifester, like we have that conditioning as being a manifester. It's like, oh no, I can't sit around. I gotta make it happen. And then that surrender and that trust that the next step is gonna show up, or
mhm,
something's going to happen for you, or be okay with the plateau that you might be in. There's just so many things as a generator where it's like your energy just wants the momentum,
mhm.
but to sit back and relax and just wait and see. That's what I'm hearing when you're talking about it. It's like that patience.
Yeah, when we can come at ourselves with compassionate curiosity, like, it's such a game changer. Instead of beating ourselves up, if we're just like, "Huh, okay, well, let's see what happens." It's more of a game, it's more fun, it's more light. Even when we're doing shadow work, right? We can still find a lightness. We have to do the hard work, of course, that it's part of shadow work, but it doesn't have to always be doom and gloom,
Mhm.
right? We can find happiness and joy in shadow work, and that that's the thrill and the fun of it for me.
Yeah,
Doing the things that people don't think I can do. I know you're shocked.
yeah, right. Now, I think for everybody, just to kind of so everybody knows, can you explain shadow work for people and why it might have that like connotation of it being like doom and gloom when and your perspective of why it's not?
Ooh, that is an excellent question. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So, when I think of shadow work, I think of all the parts of us that we have been afraid to express, that we have been afraid to own, that we may not even be aware of, that is running our lives. It's all the loop of self inflicted pain that have just become second nature because we have gone through trauma, big T, little t, whatever kind of trauma it is. It is the parts of us that we hide away because we have shame around. And what I love is the idea that we have the option of allowing that to run our life or the option of bringing light to those parts of us in a very loving and caring way, compassionate curiosity, and saying, you know what? You matter too. I love you. And when we get to do that, shadow work becomes the highest form of self love there is. When we can love all of our parts, we are unfuckwithable, even if it's just one part at a time. Shadow work, I feel like, can be lifelong. But if we can take the little bit, one piece at a time, and just love on them like we would a puppy, right? Sure. We just show ourselves so much love and devotion. And one of the things that I tell people all the time is that the Bible tells us that we are made in the image and likeness of God. So why do we not treat ourselves like that? Life is a walking, living prayer. Shadow work helps you write that prayer. Thank
That
you.
was beautiful. And I
Please
think
ask you to repeat it. I cannot repeat what I just said. I'm looking at myself like I'm impressed with myself. Shit.
when you listen back when you listen back to this, you're gonna be like, that was profound. You know what? We're gonna clip that. We're gonna put
Go
that on
ahead.
the
Go
Ultimate
ahead.
Human Design Summit Instagram, and just so everybody knows that that's like shadow work doesn't need to be scary, and it's actually part of your journey of coming into your authenticity. Like we talk about human design, like be your authentic self, be your
Yeah.
authentic self. It's like, well, then you need to look at all the parts, all the things you were doing that was contributing to not being able to be your authentic self, right? And being your authentic self is owning your shadows. Yeah. Sometimes we do have shadows, and that's all right.
Right? Like nobody's perfect. And spoiler alert, nobody's getting out of here alive. So we for me, it is this life is taking the opportunity to have all of the experiences. And shadow work is just one of those for me. It is so profound and so beautiful and also so painful, but worth it. Because on the other side of fear, there is love. People are so afraid to do the shadow work. And then they work with me or they work with, somebody else. And all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute, there's so much love in the shadow. So much. But we have been brainwashed into thinking the shadow is bad
Mhm.
when we don't even exist without a shadow. Our physical bodies, if the sun is out, you always have a shadow. It's not going anywhere. Why don't we work with it? Why don't we have fun? If we can make little shadow animals, why can't we have fun with real shadow work?
Yes. I think everyone's going to run your presentation, introduction to human design, shadow work with human design, I think is such a game changer.
Oh yeah. I I cannot say enough about human design and shadow work together. Like I knew it was there. And then when I found my coach, when I found Donna, I was like, oh my God, this is it.
Mhm.
This is what I was meant to do. And my life has never been the same since
Okay,
then.
you have the 360 channel.
Yes.
That's
Yes, I do.
awesome. Like mutating and
Uh-huh.
forming and
Yeah.
okay, and that's your conscious sun and earth?
Yep. My conscious sun is 3.2 and my unconscious sun is 60.4.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, I feel like the 60 and the 3 channel is all about like that mutating and that transformation. And so you and shadow work go very well together. And you being the facilitator for that even for people is
Mhm.
just I can see why that would light you up because it's like that's just part of your core energy, what you can see. And then like working with other people doing that. And I'm sure when you see the transformation or the light bulb or whatever may happen with your client work, it's like
Mhm.
I was made for this, literally.
You know, I think you're right. Like, I'm a little embarrassed, like, the way that you say like, I don't like, I feel so cheesy embarrassed about it, but yeah, like, it it's so cool. I don't know how it happens, but it's just like, "Oh, let's talk. Okay, here it is. Boom, boom, boom." And, like, all of a sudden, it's like this, like, moment of, like, matrix in my mind where I can literally see the lines that connect in a chart, and I just kind of it just roll it just yeah, it just comes out, receptive brain. I don't know what I know until I know it, until I'm asked the right question, and then I impress myself sometimes with my knowledge.
What's a 2 line? It's like, "Oh, I do know a lot."
Oh, there was this one time I remember asking somebody to explain human design to me. I'm like, "I don't think I know anything. Could you just explain it to me?" And then they did. I was like, "Well, I knew that already."
Right.
Like, well,
Yeah,
you don't know that you don't know until you
that you
are
know.
told that you know. Yeah,
Yes,
something
yeah.
like that. You know what I mean?
I am picking up what you're putting down. I
Thank you.
definitely yes, I got you. Okay, that's wonderful. Now, what is a piece of advice you have for coaches and practitioners who are building their own business?
There's so many things I wanna say. Oh my god. So, literally, as soon as you ended that question, the song "Don't Stop Believin'" popped into my head. Thank you for putting that in my head for the rest of the day. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Um, but you know what? There there are so many ways in which social media can make you feel inferior, right? We in the human design community, we follow everybody for human design, right? Oh my God, I'm following 100 human design people. And that's the thing that fucks us up, right? Because we're little baby human design readers trying to have a business. And then we get so locked into what social media tells us is right and wrong and how much you suck and you should be doing all of this. Don't listen to that. I have significantly reduced the amount of human design people that I follow because it messes you up. Don't look at anybody else. We're all on different pages of the book of our lives. How many times I have compared myself on page 2 to somebody who's on page 600 of their book. Just put your head down and do what you do. If you are passionate and it lights you up and it makes you happy and you think about it when you wake up and you think about it when you go to bed, just keep fucking, just keep going.
I love that, and I had the same experience, but
Mhm.
the way you put it is like, put your head down, follow your own passion, what lights you up, what you wake up and you can't stop thinking about, and you wake up and you wanna start doing. That is a great beginning to, first of all, just doing what you wanna do instead of doing what you think you should be doing. Because I think we all get caught up in that within social media, and
Mhm.
if you're a coach or a practitioner or something and you're trying to build either an online business or trying to be like another successful coach, it's
Yeah.
like it's easy to get so thrown off your own path. But it's like
Mm.
what lights you up inside. I would say it's like no one can take that away from you when you follow that burning desire that's yours
Mhm.
and yours only. And I had to learn that lesson. And you obviously had to learn that lesson too. It's like now that I've kind of found this path for myself, it's like, oh yeah, this is it.
Look, yeah, yeah, and we forget that human design is the science of differentiation. We forget that we're literally supposed to be different from each other.
Yeah.
Like, that is that's the sauce. So many people forget.
Mm.
I'm not going to be like anybody else. You have your own special sauce. I have my own special sauce, and it's perfectly planned out. It is okay. I can never be you, you can never be me, and that's totally cool.
Mhm.
That's what makes us so amazing as human beings and as readers. We all have our own flavor.
Yeah. And following our own path and
Mhm.
looking at our conditioning, our shadow work, things like that, where we have been conditioned can bring us back into our authenticity. And not even that, but what you were speaking on is that just unconditional love and acceptance for yourself, like of who you are,
Mhm.
is is what's going to put you on that path of being able to listen to your own desires, not following other people's. All right. Okay. Last question for you. What do you hope those you teach or work with could better understand about you?
Mm. I appreciate this question because this is something that I'm actually working on right now.
Okay.
For a very, very long time, I was embarrassed to tell my story because of the stigma of being a police officer. Like, I was terrified that people would not even bother with me because of that. And I think that now that I am more comfortable in my own skin, I'm okay with that. And I want a lot of things. I think mainly it's like I want to be judged by who I am, not what I've done. I am a completely different person than I was 4 years ago in 2020. I feel like I've just gotten better, I'm 45, I'm like a fine wine, I get better with age, and that's just it's hard for me to think about how mean I was to myself, but I just want people to know that it doesn't matter who we were in past lives. It's who we are meeting face to face right now. There's an infinite amount of knowledge that I have and experience that I have that not many people have. and I use it for good.
Mhm.
There's no malice. I have always known that it is my purpose and mission in life to empower people, whether it was serving and protecting or whether it is in my own spiritual practice and now my business. I'm still coming from my heart, and my heart is huge. And if you are like, yes, this is what I want, I'm here for you.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And thank you so much for doing this and being a part of the summit and the podcast and just everything. Maureen, I think a lot of people will be able to resonate with you and you sharing your story. It's funny that you said that that's like part of the stuff that you kind of were working on and feeling maybe a little bit of shame about.
Yeah.
And yet that was the part of you that I wanted to know the most. I wanted to hear that story.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
I was
Sorry.
really trying not to cry.
It's all right. But I'm being honest. I
Thank you.
really wanted to hear that story because I follow you on Instagram and I can kind of put a little bit of the pieces together. But when you agreed to do this, I thought we all have a story of like our transformation, letting go of old identities and
Mhm.
letting go of whatever we needed to step into who we are now and, the path and direction we're taking and just being able to guide others, but also I think we all guide from a place of doing our own work. And I think that's like what you would say is like that's the sauce. You need to find people who are doing their work and embodying their design. And like you are a great guide for those people. And so you telling your story, I think, is going to connect with a lot of people. And yes, yeah. So thank you again. And I'm so happy that you're a part of this.
I am if I could scream right now, I would, but I don't wanna ruin any sort of, like, sound thing happening, but trust me, inside, I'm screaming like a child on Christmas Eve. Like, I'm so down. I cannot wait for this. It's gonna be so good.
Yay. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. And now I'm going to end the recording. Maybe I'll just keep that in there.
And that's it for today's episode. Please share it with anyone else who wants to learn more about human design or anyone who may be on their personal growth and spiritual development journey. You can DM me on Instagram to talk about what resonated with you, what you learned about yourself. I love hearing about human design in real life. So I really appreciate those conversations. And if you would like, you can leave a comment, a review, a rating, and subscribe to the podcast. That support means the world. Thank you so much for listening. I know time is a valuable currency. Take care.